Welcome everyone to TAM Lab 105 for EMEA. Today's topic is protecting Horizon VDI desktop with Carbon Black and Workspace One. Our presenter today is Javier. He's Technical Account Manager in Spain. And I have one more slide to share. TAM customers, if you're watching this recording and you have an idea, please reach out to your TAM and we're gonna try to work your idea into one of the next TAM Lab sessions. And with that, Javier, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Tina. Let's see. Okay. I wanted to start with why this TAM Lab. We have all these kind of tools: Workspace One OM, Access, Carbon Black, Intelligence, Horizon. All of them can work together. And after attending several live fires and doing some demos to my customers, I thought it would be great to put to work all of them together. So starting from there, I started reaching out to some colleagues and proposing them to do a lab where I can put Carbon Black to work together with Workspace One, created an automation that will show me that VDI environment in Workspace One, obviously secure with Access. And from there, we started. Our first requirement was to deploy the MSI, the hub, into the VDI. There is several methods to do it. I chose to use a script in VMware code. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. This script will modify the MSI, and then you will be able to deploy it into the VDI. And the only thing you will need to add is this information that is on the left. That is the group identification, the staging user, and the password from the staging user. Basically, this will enroll the device. When the user logs in, it will be enrolled, and then it will have the hub. In order to get that done, you need to create a group policy. Basically, you go into your Active Directory. We will see it in the lab. You select Advanced, Assign, select the application to be installed, basic installation, and then provide the transformation file if you choose to use Orca. In my case, because I am modifying directly the MSI, I do not need to add a transformation file. If you want to use the transformation file, you need to create it with Orca. It's a Microsoft program, and you can find out more information in the links that at the end of this presentation. After deploying the MSI, the hub, you will need to create the installation for the Carbon Black sensor. In order to get that, you need to, if you want, create a custom policy for those VMs and get the company codes from the Carbon Black console. We will see it also on the lab, how to go those is pretty straightforward. Basically, you download the sensor. As you can see, go to inventory, endpoints, sensor options, and download the sensor kits. You will have all the options available there. And if you see on the left image, you can see view company codes. There you can see the company codes that you will need to enroll the VM into the console. Then we will go into Workspace One. In Workspace One, we will add this command as deployment options. The company code will be replaced with the company code that our console shows, and the group name will be the policy that we created specifically for these VMs. I created a policy basically because I don't want to scan the hard drive. So I choose to deselect that option into the policy from Carbon Black. Basically, it's a VDI that is being created and destroyed, so there is no point to be scanning all the files on the hard drive. After starting the VDI, you will see that the Carbon Black sensor is installed, and it will appear on the Carbon Black console and also on the console as installed. Then we will need to go into Workspace One Intelligence and integrate Carbon Black with Workspace One Intelligence. The integration is pretty straightforward. You need to create a API key and provide all the details in there. Basically, it's API key, SYNC connector ID, SYNC key, API connector, and click on authorize. There is nothing difficult. It can be done in 5 minutes. Then we need to create a Carbon Black custom connector. This is a bit more tricky. There is an example on GitHub already. Basically, you will create an API custom for this connector and integrate it into Workspace One Intelligence with the base URL and with authentication, because the JSON that we will see on the lab, it provides all the credentials, basically API and API secret. After done all of this, I created an alert basically that will quarantine each device when a certain category of malware will be triggered. You can see that it's a simple automation that takes if a threat is detected in Carbon Black with malware, it will add attack into the device in Workspace One OM and will quarantine the device. In order to do this, I used all these links that you can see here. Basically, the Windows 10 command line enrollment Workspace One tutorial from our text zone, the Carbon Black Workspace One tutorial in our text zone also. In GitHub, Andreano Lausano, I hope I said the name correctly, created this sample for the custom connector for Carbon Black. Is really useful because it allows you to trigger actions into the Carbon Black console from Workspace One Intelligence. And at the bottom is the sample code to modify the MSI. As I said, I need to thank some certain people who helped me doing this lab, mounting it basically. Reinhardt from the Livefire team, Andreano, who was helping us in a demo, Manuel Diaz is a digital workspace solutions engineer, and Enrique Valverde, who led me his tenant to do this presentation basically. And now let's go to the lab because this is the fun part, and then you can ask me all the questions that you want. Okay, as I said at the start, basically the only thing you need to do in order to deploy the MSI is create a group policy. In that group policy, go to policies, software settings, software installation, and add the MSI that in my case I modified, and it's here. This MSI will be installed in the moment I log in into the VDI. Enrolling directly the VM into Workspace One, and then you will see it that Carbon Black gets installed. And set this, let's jump into, let me log in into it's logging in. Okay, you can see my screen back, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is my Workspace One VM tenant. Here I have a couple of VMs that I was using as test, and my VM just started, and we should see it here in a second. Here you can see that this VM is the VM that I just started. Is starting with the staging user, and now is assigned to myself. At the same time, an installation from the app is triggered, that you can see it here. This app is assigned to all VDIs that I have. and is assigned with a company code that I will not continue here, and a policy specifically created for this. In a few seconds, I will have Carbon Black installing here, and I will show you. It's installing. Okay. Going back to the requirements, you can see here on the Carbon Black console, and then you have here endpoints. Let's move this to the left. Sensor options, company codes. Here you get the company code to add it inside the installer, and here you can get the installation, the MSI to get the install. Carbon Black is installed, so we should have it here. You can see here my VDI already installed into Carbon Black. Regarding the policy, where are you? You can see there is several policies. I created this one specifically for the VMs. I selected that it will be deleted 1 hour after the sensor is inactive, simply to clean up a bit the environment. And I disable the lock and scan because there is no point to have it on this environment. With that, you will get completely the Carbon Black sensor installed and working. Then we go to Workspace One Intelligence. Integrations, we come to the Carbon Black integration. In my case, I have it already authorized, obviously, and it will ask you for these 5 fields. Simply put your base URL inside, the API key, the SIM key, API connector, and sync connector. You can find all of them in here. We have here one, the SIM key, and I think this one is my connector. So I have here the ID. If I check here, you will see the secret that you need to put in there. With that, you will get Workspace One Intelligence integrated. This allows you to create automations, but only to get data from the Carbon Black to intelligence. So you will get the dashboards filling with information like I have in here. Let's see if it loads. You can see that I was triggering here some events. Show me here an anomaly. This is not, I don't know what he detected. And you can see here that I was here triggering some events. And on the automations, you can create an automation. Let's take one automation from the templates. For example, integration, Carbon Black, and start. As you can see, you can put many filters in here. To quarantine a device, obviously you put a complex filter in here. I did it a simple filter, taking everything out and leaving only malware. I don't want to do a profile. I don't want to send an email, and I don't have ServiceNow, so there is no point. What can I do, or what is useful for me? For example, coming here, where are you? Remove a profile, add a tag to the device. Simply coming here and selecting my environment and the tag that I want to add it. This will add this tag to the device when it contains malware. Also, you can configure this Carbon Black connector. This does not come out of the box. This needs to be created manually. How we do that? We come to integrations, workflow connectors, and here in view, we can create a custom connector. In order to do the Carbon Black, no authentication, we put here the base URL, as you can see that is created here, and it will ask us for a JSON. JSON can be found here, is on the links. Basically requires a certain API permissions that you can create here. So we created a custom API, then you come here, select 8 API and select, for example, Carbon Black 2, and I select the custom level and the Workspace One intelligence. It's this one, save, and I will have the API created, that is this one. This is the one that I am using for the connector. Then you take this JSON, save it, and you can find out that it's requesting for OR key in here. And also it requires you basically the key and the secret. Replace that information, and this connector will allow you to do certain tasks into the Carbon Black. The task that allows you to do, it will appear on the automation. For example, you edit here, you can quarantine and change the policy. These two things are the things that I am allowed to do with the device. I have already 2 VMs that they are in here. You can see that they are on the quarantine. Okay, I triggered already the automation using a ACAR file. And you can see in my Workspace One, I come here, devices, list view, that they appear to be quarantined. So the tag when applied, and I got them also to be non-compliant. How I got this is really simple. You come compliance policies, list view. I selected a policy that every object will be affected, in this case that they are Windows, and assign it to a group that includes all these VMs in VDI and that they have the tag quarantine. In the moment that they got the tag applied, they are marked as non-compliant. This way you can track down what every user is doing in your VDI environment. Also, you could come here and investigate the different events. Let's leave it to, it's not loading. Let's see if the alerts, yeah, the alerts are triggered faster. You can see that unknown virus was triggered in my environment. You can see that it's related to this device. I could connect to this device, inform the security team per email, and get all the information. Also, this provides you this way of implementing it. It shows you the username, because in our KB, there is a method to integrate Carbon Black, but you will not see the user because the MSI is installed with the service account, not with the user account. This way, you get 2 benefits. The hub into the VDI, so the customer can use SSO to log into the web pages and the internal resources, and also you get the information of the user who is logging and doing the task. And that's all what I did basically on my lab. If you have any questions how I got to do this and how you can implement it and the benefits, you are welcome. Let's see if I can see no, there is no questions.
No question, yes, but question from my side.
Yep.
How did you come across this? I mean, was it something you had at one of your customers? And what was the case at your customer that you had to look into this, had to find out how to work with Carbon Black and Workspace One?
My customer wanted only to integrate it, to have an EDR. And during the discussions, we showed them Carbon Black because it's the best integration that integrate the best integration for Workspace One. It integrates perfectly, and you can use automations, and you can get all the information that other ADRs don't have. The part from Horizon came from the live fires, where I was discussing with Reinhardt, and we don't saw a clean method to do this, basically. And from all of that, I came out with the idea to put all together, basically.
So there is a really specific use case in there, and yeah.
It's completely a specific use case, but my idea was to see if we could manage to get all of that working together. And obviously, in VDI environments, it's really useful to have a EDR, because there is a point that you need to control in the zero trust deployment. You need to control also to trust the computer, and to trust the computer, you need to have some kind of antivirus or EDR to detect attacks. This way, you will get the computer quarantined in case something is done. If the customer closes and opens the VDI, it will get a new desktop. It will not get the same. The same remains there on the pool, so the security team can study what the customer did to trigger this alarm. It could be a false positive, or could be a real deal. For example, downloading a WannaCry virus or something like that.
So how's your customer, or what's the take of the customer on this setup? Is this fulfilling what he was looking for? Is he happy with it? Would he recommend it?
He's currently studying, he's currently discussing this or EDR with other ones, and as far as I know, they are testing it. But our integration was the fastest one. We deployed in 2 days. It was deployed in the customer environment, so they can play around. In fact, you can see that here on the API, they still having the APIs for their environment in here. This environment is still connected to them. So if they deploy a VM and do the same steps I did, they will be able to enroll a sensor and start using automations. They have one automation that we created like this one, so they can test if a VM is triggered. We created also the tags and the compliant, non-compliant rule. So everything is set up in a matter of 2-3 days.
And that sounds something that a lot of customers will be interested in, because usually you have to move fast if you want to implement anything that's security related. So anyone of the attendees, anyone having a question, or have you seen something similar at your customers? Or are your customers thinking about something similar?
But they will be for sure interested, because they have Workspace One, and the way that this integrates and the information flow. The MDM manager is the guy who will be contacted by the customer saying, I cannot access to my device. In the moment that he enters into the list view, he will see that his device is quarantined and is non-compliant. He will say to the customer, something happened with your desktop. Security team is investigating. At the same time, the security team was informed and can see that the VM is under quarantine, and they can start troubleshooting it. There is one question on the chat, I think.
It says, I do have a customer that is currently using this integration. So we have already a few customers using this.
Mercedes, they are using the connector and the tag to mark the device as non-compliant.
Sorry. Yes, they are currently using the automation part of it, but I'm not entirely sure how did they configure it. But I'll make sure that they are aware of this presentation, so they can follow your steps also. Thank you.
If they are using this part, basically, it's really easy to obtain. Simply download this JSON, add it into the Workspace One intelligence, and then you will get the connector to be able to quarantine the device. It's really easy. And if we're looking here, Texon, Carbon Black, the only thing is to find out this is hidden in here. It's a really important part, but it's let's search for custom. It's here, 3 lines. What do you have? But this part for me is that gets the best benefit into the integration, because it allows you to do things from Workspace One intelligence into the Carbon Black. And then if they have any team that any developer team, they can read this code and add new features, because it's really simple. It's you need only to know the API.
I'll definitely let them know about this.
Great, thank you, Mercedes, for your input. And Javier, do you have more information you want to share with us?
Only that if anyone is interested, please read this. Let's see if I can put it. Stop the share and start the share. I think it's this one. Read these 3 documents. With these 3 will show you how to implement completely Carbon Black, how to get the TAM enroll into Workspace One, and how to set up the connector. With that, the customer will be amazed when he gets he sees the kind of integration that he can get. Other EDRs cannot get the same kind of integration and cannot do the things that we can do with Carbon Black. Besides detecting the threats, it's also important not only detecting it, it's also really important that everyone knows that something has happened, and they will not know. Security teams usually do not share this information. This way, you have aware the MDM manager knows that something happened. He can check in Workspace One intelligence in the dashboard that some malware was triggered. And the security team is also aware because he got an email through the Carbon Black console. So everyone is in the same page.
This sounds really good. And I think customers who are looking into more security, they will be happy to see that VMware is providing the security too. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.